Health Talk, Decoding Aging. My name is Kim, and I will be your host for today. We are very excited to have all of you here to explore and unlock the secrets to a longer, healthier, and more youthful life. Today's talk is filled with valuable insights from leading experts in anti-aging, longevity, and nutrition. We will dive into concepts like health span, measuring your true biological age, longevity treatments, and nutritional tips to help you age gracefully. So our mission for today is to help you take control of your health and for a longer and more vibrant life. So before we're going to begin this talk, just a few reminders to please keep your phones on silent and feel free to take notes and take pictures. So before we're going to end all the talks, we will also going to have a Q&A sessions by all the panels and for those speakers that we will going to have today. And so please take your notes, keep your questions ready at the end of the program. So let me introduce to you our first speaker. Our first speaker is a registered nurse from the USA. She will introduce to us the concept of a health span, what it means and why it is important. So please give me a warm welcome to Ms. Nicole Stewart.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning. I'm so happy to see all of you wake up early to come and take an interest in longevity. I was thinking this morning, it's raining. I wonder how many people are going to show up and have an interest here about our topic today. I'm really delighted to be here to share with you about health span. I would say longevity, and maybe some of you even think about anti-aging or these topics. Some of us are interested for different reasons. Maybe you woke up this morning or as you were preparing to come to this talk, you were thinking about your chronological age, right? Like, I'm 44. My birthday was in July, I'm 44, so you all are aware of what your birthday is, and as it comes around every year, you think about these birthdays settling in, right? And sometimes that can be exciting. We have these monumental moments of, yay, I'm 21, I can vote, or I can drink, or I can do, some of these things. But then some of these birthdays come around and we're like, ooh, this is a big one for me, this is 50 or 60. But I love this idea of longevity medicine because really the conversation shifts from what is our biological age? What age where are we at inside of our body? What are our cells doing in our body? And now, how many of you are familiar with Brian Johnson? This person, Brian Johnson. Does anyone know about this person? Okay, this is a really great place for you to look because I love this guy, Brian Johnson. He is an entrepreneur who, had some success in business and never really paid attention to his health. And I should have put his picture up here at his slide and his social media so you can look because you might grow some interest in this person. But now what this guy has done has really taken an interest in decreasing his biological age. And in where I come from, in the United States, these countries, there's this huge interest in decreasing your biological age. And in fact, there is a whole platform called the Rejuvenation Olympics. It's a real contest to see how quickly you can reduce your biological age. And I think this is really interesting that people are really starting to pay attention to what is their pace of aging. So Brian Johnson is doing all types of what I think most of us would think were kind of biohacky things to see if he can reduce his pace of aging. I mean, this guy goes to bed at 8 o'clock on the dot and does not miss a night, and does things like really counts out his calories. And he has a group of researchers that are looking at him and measuring every single thing that he does. And this is really, I think, where we're at, now that people are really paying attention to how things in their environment, how their everyday choices can really impact their aging. So I hope that you can take that away today, that 75 to 90% of what you do in your everyday life will move the dial the most for your aging process. So this is really exciting because we can take control of it. Now, of course, we're going to share some really cool things with you. Dr. Surat's going to present today about some of the treatments that are available, some of these other technologies that are available to slow your pace of aging. And we are going to talk about how we can measure that from one of our speakers from NHealth, who is the largest provider of the labs in Thailand for all of the measurements for aging. So, and then, of course, I will come back to you about some of the things that you can do at home from a nutrition standpoint. Our dietitian, Alexei, could not be here today. He, of course, had to do a visa run. So I will be presenting that for you. But again, I'm just very delighted to be here. I'm a registered nurse, and over 20 years of being a registered nurse, that makes me feel, I guess, like I'm aging, but it feels like I'm just starting out too, because there's so much to learn. So I'm really happy to share that with you. Most of my experience in nursing, by the way, was in integrative oncology. And so seeing that link between chronic disease and lifestyle was a huge part for me. And that's why I was so lucky to come and work together here with the team at Thanyapura for many years in preventative health and helping people understand how they can take control of their life and take control of their health. And now we're going to talk about how we can prevent aging. Next slide. So, of course, this is really the difference in, we talk about aging. Sometimes people say to me, when, with all the efforts that I like to do personally, Nikki, what are you trying to do, live to be 120? Well, yeah, I'd love to, but I'd love to if that meant that I'm feeling amazing, right? Because if I was taking this slow decline to 120, and I'm dealing with chronic diseases and physical ailments and things like this, that doesn't sound very enticing to me. But the difference is our health span, right? How long can we prevent some of that decline that comes with aging? Of course, it's inevitable, right? We are going to age. Our birthdays come around every year. But the decline to which we experience disease, let's say, or physical ailments can be delayed. And so that's the difference, when we talk about health span versus lifespan. So today we should really be thinking about why we should care about longevity and what causes aging. I'm going to share with you shortly about these 12 hallmarks of aging so that we can really understand what actually causes, at the cellular level in the body, what causes aging. And is there a way that we can treat aging? And what treatments are available, can we measure aging, and which treatments are available for us to turn back the clock, let's say, and how can we live in a way that prevents accelerated aging? So these are the topics today. So again, it's interesting because working in ICU or, of course, in integrative oncology, it's true that most of the people that I would see with chronic disease were in the aging group, right? It's kind of, we think about, our grandmothers or our grandfathers, they're just getting old. Yes, of course they have diabetes, or of course they have cancer, or of course they have heart disease, right? These are kind of age-related diseases. But now the conversation has shifted to, if we can treat the aging, can we prevent disease? Rather than these things are just expected. So this is really the idea behind treating or the longevity conversation, let's say. I'm going to share some statistics from my country with you. I'm from the United States, and of course this may seem a little bit irrelevant over here, but unfortunately it's not, because my country, sorry to say, has metastasized to Asia. Right? We see now McDonald's, Krispy Kreme, all these conveniences that are available here. People are living more fast-paced lives. Stress is, we are becoming a fast-paced society over here versus, maybe the way things could be or were in the past, to be a little bit more sabai here. It's turning into a fast-paced society. 45% of people in the United States over the age of 18 have one or more chronic diseases. And that increases significantly to people that are over the age of 55, have 78% of them have one or more chronic diseases. And in the 65 and older age group, 90% of US adults have at least 2 chronic diseases. This accounts for 3.8 trillion in healthcare expenses in the United States. And it's estimated that if each person in the United States could decrease their biological age by 1 year, that could put 36 trillion back into the economy. I mean, this is pretty significant, right, in terms of the expense of sick care. So in 2013, a group of researchers got together and they had taken a look at what are these things that cause aging. Now, at that time, they discovered nine things that cause aging. And so the ones that you see with the stars on the side are the ones that were recently added. And so we see that they divide each of these 12 into three different groups, and we call these the primary, the antagonistic, and integrative hallmarks of aging. And we see that the primary ones are kind of inevitable. These are things that happen as we age. We expect for these types of changes to occur. And the antagonistic hallmarks are the ones that we see kind of happen as a result of these primary ones. And the integrative ones look at a more systemic approach to aging. So this is kind of how they divide these hallmarks of aging. But we're going to go into each one individually to understand first how aging occurs. And actually this is a really nice way to approach it because it gives researchers and clinicians an ability to really address each one of these individually, because there are some treatments that Dr. Surat's going to share with you today that will address specifically each one of these hallmarks of aging. And also, it gives you a way to kind of look at aging as something that you can take control of. Now, they never exist independently, these 12 hallmarks of aging. They really are dependent on each other and sometimes as a result of each other. Okay, so let's go into them one by one. I'll try to go through this quickly because we have just a short time in between, but hopefully this helps you understand one common factor. And so I just want you to pay attention as we go through these to what you think that one common factor is, okay? So genomic instability. Now, our DNA has the ability to repair itself, right? And so certain things that we come across in our environment, such as radiation, smoking, and pollution, can impact our ability to repair our DNA. So our genes become a little bit unstable and we have more damage. The damage starts to accumulate over time. Telomere attrition. Now, at the caps of our DNA, if you picture your DNA like this kind of X, right? You've seen this before, right? The chromosomes. You might remember if you had science class when you were in high school, stuff you think you're never going to use again, right? Right. But of course, if you're thinking about aging, this is important stuff. These caps of the DNA are called our telomeres. And as our DNA replicates, they start to shorten. And as they shorten, that can create more damage to our DNA, and that can create more oxidative stress. And so this is really one of the ways that we can look at the pace of our aging. And things like chronic stress, lack of exercise, a diet that's rich in high fats, this can all contribute to telomere attrition, or shortening of our telomeres. And there's things that we can do to repair it. Okay. Epigenetic alterations. Now, this is another hallmark that is interesting because it really takes into account the environment that our cells are swimming in, right? Like if you have a sick fish in an aquarium, what's the first thing that you need to do? Change the water, right? We can't take the fish out and it'll survive out of water. We have to change the water, change the environment. So the epigenome is what we talk about is the environment that our cells are swimming in. And these alterations can either activate or deactivate certain genes that are associated with aging. So exposure to toxins, an unhealthy diet, smoking. You see smoking coming up a lot, right? I hope none of us are still smoking. Okay, next one. Loss of proteostasis. I know this is probably scientific and boring, but let's get through them, okay? Loss of proteostasis. This happens when our proteins have misfolding. And so our things in our environment like poor sleep, high-calorie diets, chronic stress can cause this misfolding of proteins, and our body can't repair those, so they can accumulate and cause damage over time. Disabled macroautophagy. Now, autophagy is our body's ability to clean up garbage, let's say. In our cells, we have an area called the lysosome, and this lysosome gets activated when we do things like fast, like when we're sleeping, as long as you're not eating right before sleep. The more you don't eat right before bed, the better you have the ability to clean up your cellular debris. And so when that becomes disabled, we accumulate more cellular debris, more garbage, let's say, and it overflows, and our immune system can't keep up with that. Things like high-calorie diets, you guessed it, lack of exercise, chronic stress can lead to the inability for our body to clean up our garbage. Dysregulated nutrient sensing. When we take in nutrition, our body has to then utilize that nutrition and send it here and send it there, and we have all these nutrient pathways in our bodies. And when that becomes disabled because of things like overeating, high sugar intake, and again, lack of physical activity, this can make it difficult for our body to know what to do with these nutrients, and sometimes it just doesn't do it at all. And another thing can be toxins, because they can impair the way that we even those nutrients make it to the cell. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Now this one's important because it's probably one of the most important reasons why we age. We inherit our mitochondria from our mothers. Thank you, Mom. So if you're feeling a little bit tired today, you might have to call your mom and say, Mom, I'm feeling tired, that's your fault. No, I'm just kidding. But when our mitochondria age, or we don't make as much mitochondria, we might feel more tired. Why is that? Because our mitochondria is where we make our energy, our ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is really, if you remember from science again, this is what our energy source is in our body, right? There's a lot of other ways that we make energy, but mitochondria is probably the most important. And things that impair our ability to make and have better mitochondrial function are going to be things like, I think you guys can fill in the blank already. You're seeing a pattern, right? Sedentary lifestyle, lack of activity, poor diet, toxins in our environment. Cellular senescence. Now, cellular senescence is one of these antagonistic hallmarks that, again, it's a normal process that happens in the body, and it's necessary, right? So when our cell is not functioning correctly, it's still existing, it's not dead, it's still alive, but it's not functioning normally. And our immune system should come in and recognize that that cell is not working properly, and it should eliminate it. But guess what? As we age, our immune system ages as well. And so we are not able to clear out those senescent cells. And those cells cause a lot of problems because they, in themselves, create more inflammation. And that creates more inflammation, and that creates more inflammation. Inflammation begets inflammation. Okay, so things like chronic inflammation can contribute to that, of course, this ongoing process, a poor diet, and of course, obesity. The more body fat that you have, because we know that adipose tissue, our fat cells, create more inflammation. So this is an ongoing cycle of inflammation. Stem cell exhaustion. Now, maybe some of you have heard about stem cells and their ability to regenerate and repair tissue in our body. And you might have heard about someone getting a stem cell treatment, right? What does that mean? That they're getting either donor stem cells from birth tissue, like from the umbilical cord, birth tissue. We can use stem cells from a donor, or we can use our own stem cells because we make our own stem cells. Now, some people say, as you age, that your stem cells aren't as good anymore. But it's not true. They still do repair. If you're injured or you're sick or your immune system's taking a hit, your stem cells are there to repair that tissue in your body. But unfortunately, again, things in our lifestyle, radiation exposure, right? Poor sleep, chronic stress, these types of things can hinder the way that our body is able to make and utilize our stem cells. Altered intercellular communication. Our cells are constantly in communication with each other. And of course, this is really important for maintenance and balance in our body. But things like, again, high sugar intake, chronic inflammation, lack of physical activity, this can impair the way that our cells communicate. And chronic inflammation. This is one that was added later, just in 2002, when they updated the 9 hallmarks to 12 hallmarks, because it needed to be, needed to be addressed that inflammation is really the root of all disease. And of course, things that create more inflammation are, well, there's quite a few, and I was going to say poor sleep, but that is one of them, but also sedentary lifestyle. Processed foods create a lot of inflammation in the body, especially in the gut, right? Because our body has to sort out what are all these chemicals that is coming into the system, right? And the last one is dysbiosis. Now, what does that mean? This is an alteration in our gut flora, right? And so actually, you know, our human genome is not any more sophisticated than an earthworm, our classical genes. But it turns out that really our genome, it really exists in our gut microbiome. And so when we have alteration in our digestion and in our gut microbiome, that can change a lot of things for us because we get activation and deactivation of genes even at that level, right? Poor diet, antibiotic overuse. This is a really common problem here because, you know, you can just go into the pharmacy if you tell them that you have some symptoms. They're pretty good. I've had this trick with the pharmacists here, you know, for them to really question, do you need an antibiotic? But sometimes if you go to the doctor for a cough or a cold or your kid is sick, they're going to err on the side of caution and give an antibiotic because they're worried that it could be an infection, right? But because of that, it can cause loss of our good bacteria. We have beneficial bacteria in our gut and not beneficial bacteria, and that can cause an imbalance. So that's an overview of the 12 hallmarks of aging. So now that you guys are really tired already in the morning of listening to that boring scientific stuff, we'll get to some of the more fun stuff. But really this idea of longevity medicine is understanding what are those hallmarks of aging and how can we treat them. And with this approach of longevity medicine, let's say, we are going to utilize lots of different technologies and methodologies to turn back the clock on a cellular level. Your birthdays are still going to come. You're still going to have those years and blow out another candle every year, but the aging of your cells can actually be reversed. So you could take one candle off if you want to, if you start to decrease your biological age. And it's estimated that if we start to use some of these rejuvenation methods, even beyond the lifestyle, that we can slow the pace of aging, we can slow that ultimate, potential of having health or age-related diseases, and hopefully have a longer health span. So, here to tell us more about how we can measure that, we will turn it over to Kun Pook, I think? Kun Kim? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kun Nikki, for that very insightful presentation. So our next speaker is a health business development manager specializing in molecular and genetic research. She will help us understand the fascinating question, how old are you really? Let's help me welcome Ms. Nalia Manisawangwong. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Hello. Thank you very much, Kun Kim, and thank you, Kun Nicole. She already covered a little bit of my talk about the biological age. So today, I am Nalia Manisawangwong. So I am from NHealth, which is our biggest laboratory companies in Thailand. I actually have a pharmacy degree, but I only work in pharma company for just a few years after graduated because for me personally, pharma is not as fun as lab. We have a lot of things to do in the lab, so today I will tell you a little bit of how we actually do in the lab to measure the biological age. Okay. So, how old do you think your cells really are? As Nicole already talked to you, the biological age and chronological age is different. It can be your biological age can be more than your real age, which is the numbers of birthdays that you have since birth, right? And maybe if you are really taking care of your health, your biological age can be 10, 15 years younger than your real age. Okay, so why biological age is important? Because it actually reflects our really conditions inside our body, right? So it tells you whether you have a good health right now, do you have to really take care of any specific type of aspects in your life. Maybe you need to stop smoking, maybe you need to eat more. I mean, less hamburgers or pizzas, and maybe eat a little bit more greens, something like that. So, yeah, you can actually feel your biological age. Maybe if today you are super busy with your work, haven't have a lot of good quality sleep, and maybe haven't been on top of your diet, you can actually feel like, oh, I'm so tired right now, right? And maybe if you have the luxury of time, you can be on top of your diet, you can get regular exercise, then you don't feel so much bad, right? So yeah, that's you feeling your biological age. Okay. Okay. So to take you back to high school science class. So DNA, our DNA actually only consists of 4 bases, which is HCTG. When we talk about mutations, we talk about changes in these bases sequence in our DNA, but epigenetic is not like that. There's no changes in the DNA sequence that are measured. We measure something else on top of the DNA, which these epigenetics can be changed depending on your environments, on your diets, on your stress levels. So these are dynamics. It can be changed, and it impacts your biological age. Okay. So to understand biological age, we need to understand epigenetics, right? Epigenetics is the study of how your environment and lifestyles choice can affect the expression of your genes, right? So for the past 15 years or so, there is this famous theory, famous beliefs that actually aging is from the changes in DNA sequence. But the growing trend is that it's actually the epigenetics markers. So there is this one famous study by Dr. David Sinclair. Has any of you ever heard of Dr. David Sinclair? Yes. Yeah, so you can actually go online on YouTube, and there's a lot of his talk on YouTube. But the most famous study from him is that his team takes 2 genetically identical mice. These 2 are twins, right? So at the beginning of the study, I think the 2 mice are 10 months old, but one might undergo a sequence of epigenetics alterations, and his appearance by the end of the study is really different, significantly different from his twins. So he looks like Ronald Weasley mice from Harry Potter, right? It's very gray, very old, and not just the physical appearance, right? He has a lot more age-related disease. So this is a really difficult, a really important study to tell us that it's actually not the genetic alterations, the changes in the sequence of DNA as we thought. It's actually epigenetic that tells us what our biological age is. Okay, When we talk about the measuring biological age, we often refer to DNA methylation. Okay. So ขอเปลี่ยนไปอีกหน้าหนึ่งมันจะหายไป Oh, okay. Thank you. When we talk of measuring biological age, we often talk of measuring the DNA methylation, which is the key marker of epigenetics. So think of DNA methylation as these little stickers that we put on top of our DNA. Again, there's no changes in the DNA sequence. Just we measure these the stickers that are on top of the DNA strands. So these stickers acts as like a switch to tell the genes of our body to switch on and off like a light switch. So if we have too much methylations on a specific genes, these genes can shut down and might not work properly. So that causes aging, right? So in our lab, this is just one example. As you can see from the chart, this is the study from 2012 from an Italian researcher. I don't want to butcher his name. So he measures, as you can see, the first columns, which is the ELOVL2. It's really difficult genes to pronounce, right? These genes, you can see that if you measure the amount of stickers that put on those genes, it very correlated to your biological age, your age, right? You can see the upward trends, the upward trends graph. Compared to the other genes, you can see it's like more on the not very upward, right? So you can see that these markers is really reliable to measure your biological age. Okay, so now let's talk about actual measures of your DNA sequence. One of the example that I think you guys heard about it is Angelina Jolie, right? She has this genes that is called BRCA genes that mutate from general population, and from the studies it shows that if you have these mutations of these genes, your chance of getting breast cancer is about 60% higher than normal people. So she took the proactive measures. So she undergo these surgeries that reduce her chance of getting the breast cancer, right? So my point is, you measure the genetics mutations that you get from your mom and your dad. These are not changing. This is not dynamic. It's static. So you can tell what predisposition that you got from your parents, the risk of having any specific disease that you may have. Okay, so take these two tests together, both genetics and epigenetics. It can tell you how you can take care of your life, take maybe the Angelina Jolie as example, cancer prevention, and maybe if you, one of the most used case in Thailand right now, other than BRCA genes, we measures the genes that changes our drug in our body. If you take any drugs, you can tell, it tells you if you are a poor metabolizer, if you are a faster metabolizer. So you can alter your dosage of the drugs that you have to use. So these are proactive measures that you can take before you actually have to, before you get sick and before you actually have to take the drugs. so you can be safer. So my point is for today is that to take both epigenetics to know if you're really older or younger than your chronological age, and you can change your lifestyle, you can change your environment to be better, to get younger, right? And you can take a genetic test to know if you have any risk of having any disease. So these two together will improve your life and your longevity. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kunalia, for those we should know about. So please join me welcoming Dr. Surat Nantavici. A round of applause, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So this is the third session of today health talk. We have know about the how we aging and what is the important to know your biological age. So next, I will tell you about the how to get older slower and how to stay in the good health. So I'm the full-time doctors at Thanyapura Hospital, and I'm finished the preventive medicine on the travel medicine, and I also study of the anti-aging in the last 3 years. So let's say let's see the things I will talk today. So first, I want you to think about what is the real longevity. If both men in this slide is the same age, do you think which one has the longevity? The one that can go out and do the activities as he wants, or the one that has to stay in the bed or in the couch and taking some medicines? So you know that which one has the longevity, right? And the next. So Miss Nikki talked about the lifespan and health span concept already. So I think you know that the health span is more important. So even you have the 80 or 90 years old, but you don't have the health span, you have to stay on the bed or just stay in the house, cannot go out and doing some activities. So maybe you would be happier if you have the healthy 70s, right? Okay. And this slide, I will show you about the scale. Sometimes you have the checkup, and the range is, and they label you as the normal. Sorry. But when you are normal, you may be in the nearly 200, or you may be nearly the 20,000. So you have the different risk to get the disease if you are on the nearly each edge of the site. So you should keep yourself optimized in the middle. It is the real, real healthy situation. Okay. And this is a hallmark of aging that Miss Nikki has talked about. So the treatment I will talk today is will took the management in each of the hallmarks of the aging, but it's not one by one. Each treatment is not going to the one hallmarks, but it will integrate it to maybe more than one of the hallmarks in the each of the treatments. Okay. So, like I said, you should optimize yourself. And firstly, the body is the important environment for your cells and for your body function. You should optimize your body first. So there's the pillars of the healthy lifestyle. They have 6 pillars of the healthy lifestyle. So the good diet, the good physical activities, avoiding the risky substance, restorative sleep, have the positive social connections, and the stress management. So first, we talk about the healthy diet habit. As we will have this another session about the nutrition, I will talk briefly about this one. So, like in the Kuniki slide, it has the you should not eat too much. You should not eat lots of sugar, right? So this is the summary. So you should choose the nutrient-rich food, not the calorie-rich food, and has the low sugar and low carbohydrate diet. Focus on the protein, which is the high quality protein is I recommend the animal protein, but the protein should nearly natural, like less cooking, not the processed one. You can get the good protein from the plant too, but you have to you have to eat lots the variety of the plants to get enough of the essential amino acid from the plant. So the animal protein is not that bad if you are choosing and eating right. So the next is the physical activity. If you remember, most of the hallmarks of the aging, the cause to the cause of the aging in each hallmark has lots about the less physical activity or less exercise, right? So the importance of the exercise is firstly, it will increase your insulin sensitivity so you can manage your glucose better when you are doing the exercise. And next, the exercise will promote the waste product clearance from your body. When the muscle is pumping, the blood flow is better, so the waste product from the organs can be clear like better. And how much you should do the exercise, like in the slide. Okay. The cardio exercise should be around 150 minutes per week. You can divide it into the several days, like 3 to 5 days in a week. Just the light to moderate exercise, not to be the vigorous exercise. And the strengthening exercise or the resistance exercise is like the weight training, is the exercise that will build up your muscle. And the weight training also increase your production of the growth hormone and testosterone also, which is the important hormone for maintaining your muscle. And the stretching exercise is quite important too. When you do the exercise, you will put the stress into your body. So the stretching is the relaxed time. It's like the making your body decrease the stress or the inflammation after doing the exercise. And you should organize the rest day in the week. You should not do the exercise like every day in the week, especially in the athletes or the one that wants to be in the competition, because I saw some athletes coming to me and with the problem of the exhaustion. When we test them, we find out that they has too much of the cortisol level. That means their body has too much of the stress. So rest day is quite important. And the supplement that you can take to improve your exercise, maybe the L-carnitine and the important micronutrient like calcium, magnesium, and zinc. Next one, the restorative sleep. Also in the hallmarks of the aging, lots of them mention about the good sleep. So what is the good sleep? Firstly, I will talk about the importance of the good sleep. So when you're sleeping, your body will clear out the waste product in your brain, like the beta amyloid, that is the cause of the Alzheimer's disease. And during the sleeping time, your body will promote more of the growth hormone and testosterone secretion also. So how to have a good restorative sleep? So you should sleep in the dark, cold, and the quiet room to make your body like relax. The electronic device should be put it away from your body at least 1 meters, and the duration is at least 6 hours to 8 hours should not more than 10 hours because too much is not good, right? And if you have some problem with the sleep, you can supplement with the melatonin or the magnesium. In some people which they have the problem with the obstructive sleep apnea, you can consult with the doctors, and the doctors may advise you to use the CPAP machine. The CPAP machine is the machine that will put the pressure into your airways and keep it open. So you will receive enough of the oxygen during your sleep, and it will make you fresh in the morning. The next one is the stress management. So the stress is the one factors that causing the inflammation in your body, and also is lost in the hallmark of the aging also. So reducing the stress will reduce the inflammation in your body, and also balance the hormone that relating to the stress too, like the cortisol and DHEA. So the way to reducing the stress is to have some stretching exercise, as I mentioned before. Have the afternoon nap. Afternoon nap is the duration that, like in the middle of the day, you are working in the morning, you have some stress. You can manage like 10 to 30 minutes in the middle of the day and have a napping. We call the power nap. It will reducing the stress in your body also. And the meditation. Meditation is the way to focus your mind, and it will decrease your emotional stress and make your mind more resistant to the emotional stress also. Positive thinking, yeah, because the brain is secreting the neurotransmitters. It depends on your emotional too. If you have the positive thinking, your brain will work like better and secrete more of the good neurotransmitters. Okay, the supplement to decrease or managing the stress is like the type of the ginseng and the adaptogenic herb. You can find the type of the adaptogenic herb in the Google. It has some certain types of the herbs that help with the stress. The next is to avoid risky substance. The risky substance is the one that can cause you addiction and can cause you the inflammation in your body. So the first is sugar. You know, the sugar is the most using addictive substance in the world, and it's legal. But lately we found out that the sugar is causing many of the problem into your body, like the causing of the chronic diseases, diabetes, and also the other things too. Like Kuniki said, eating too much sugar is affecting your body in many ways. And the rest, you may know that alcohol, cigarettes, smoking, narcotics is not good for your body. Everybody knows, right? And the another one that is important is the toxic heavy metal. Toxic heavy metal is the chemical and the minerals that come from the pollution and maybe the chemical that we use in the daily life. It accumulates in our body and causing the inflammation. So if you can avoid it, it will be good, but it's quite hard, right? So we will have the procedure that reducing the toxic heavy metal in our body. I will talk about it later. And also the addictive behavior, like the potato couch, staying in the couch, eating the snack, watching TVs, sedentary lifestyle, just keep scrolling the smartphones all the day. It will make you addict to it and reduce your physical activity also. Okay. And the next one is good social activity. As I said, the mind is connecting to your body. If you have the positive communication, positive social connection, being with the positive people, avoiding toxic people or toxic situation or relationship, it will make your mind clearly. And when you're thinking positive, you will find the way that you can improve yourself in many ways. Okay. ครับผม So this is the treatment for longevity that I picked up for you. So these are maybe not all of them, but the basic one. We use this treatment to help improve your longevity, but I want you to focus on the lifestyle first, as I said. And these are just the one that helping you going to the longevity like faster and easier. So first, we talk about the next slide. Okay, I put this slide again because some of the treatments, most of the treatment will affecting in some of the hallmarks of the aging. Not all, but each one will treating some of them. So if we doing it together, it will managing your hallmarks of aging, like all of them. Okay. ครับผม So we start with the supplement for the longevity. I picked this supplement up because it is the important antioxidant to reduce inflammation and improve your mitochondria function, and also improve your hormone function also, like the ALA, resveratrol, and NMN is the important one that will targeting on the most of the hallmark of the aging. So the essential micronutrient like the calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, this one also good for your hormone function also. And the last one is probiotic because the dysbiosis is the one hallmark of the aging that we should focus. So probiotic is the combine of the good bacteria in the gut, and when you take it, it will balance your gut microbiome also. Okay, the hormones for the longevity. So the hormone balance is quite important for the longevity, and also the muscle is also the important, especially in the aging, because lately we found out that the sarcopenia or the loss of the muscle mass in the elderly is quite a problem for you to maintain your good daily life. So maintaining the muscle needs the testosterone and the growth hormone also. So these hormones are important if you are lack of them. And in the menopause females, the female hormone is also important to improve your mood, improve your skin health, improve your sexual drive or activities after the menopause, and also improve your bone density too. If you are lacking of the estrogen or progesterone after your menopause, you may experience the osteoporosis and easily break your bone. The peptides for longevity, we have lots of peptides to use, and each peptide has different function. But these one are the peptides that I pick up that will working mostly on the anti-aging and the longevity. Like the epithalon is widely used for improve the sleep and also can lengthening your telomere length. That is make your cells live longer, and also improve the growth hormone also. And the other is working to improve the growth hormone secretion, or the acting like the anti-aging function too. Okay. These are the list of the peptide that we use lately. So if you want the information, we can provide you after this. Okay. Next is the cell therapy for the longevity. We use the MSC or the mesenchymal stromal cell, or as we know, the stem cell. So the cell is obtained from the umbilical cord from the newborn. which has the high potency of the mesenchymal cell or stem cell there. The function of the mesenchymal stromal cell is they can activating the repairing and restoration of the cells. They can signal the cells to be apoptosis, like the senescent cells in the hallmark of the aging. Senescent cell is the cell that is lazy. They are being there, they're not working, they create the inflammation, but they are not quit from your body. So mesenchymal stromal cell will coming in and signal that you senescent cells, you have to die now. And we can produce the new cell. And also the mesenchymal stromal cell can reduce the inflammation. They will go directly to the inflammation site and signal the pro-inflammatory cell to come in and decrease the inflammation also. The very cold water can promote the secretion of the growth hormone and can also reduce inflammation. So you might see the athletes, they are jumping into the ice tub after the training or the competition to reduce the inflammation and speeding the recovery. But this one is quite specific. You should do the consultation first that you should do it or not, because too cold of the temperature is not good for some health condition also. The hyperbaric oxygen. Hyperbaric oxygen is the process that they have the machine, it's like the tank, and it's, inside has the oxygen rich. They put you in, and you will receive the high, let's say, high quality, high amount of the oxygen. And the high amount of oxygen will speeding the recovery of the tissues and promote the vascular growth also. So it will useful for some of the injury, and also may create the anti-aging also. And the last one is the intermittent fasting. This one is the process that I recommend you to do sometimes, because the fasting is the duration that your body clear out the waste product and clear out the old mitochondria to making the new one. Let's say if you construct the house or the building, you need the bricks, the sand, and something like the ingredient to making out your building, right? Your cell as the workers, they has to work to build the house. But if you don't have the time to let them get rid of the debris or the waste product, or don't have the time to maintenance the tools to building the house, so there's many problem, and you cannot building the good quality house also. The intermittent fasting is like the same way. You give your body some time to clear out the waste product, the debris, the old cell, and when you are eating again, they will build up the new cells and the new mitochondria to make your body works better. So this one is the diagram. When you do the fasting, and your body switching from using the glucose or the carbohydrate to be the main energy source, to be used in the use fat in the main energy source, the body will signal that the mitochondria biogenesis should be increased, and increase the autophagy. The autophagy is like I mentioned before, is the process that your body clear up the old cells, the old protein, or the nearly non-functioning tissues out to making the new one. And the effect of the intermittent fasting, when you do during the fasting period, they increase the ketones. Ketone is the molecule that made from the fat, and it can use as the energy also. When the ketone is up, the insulin level will going down. And it will increase the antioxidant effect into your body, increase the mitochondrial autophagy to cleaning the old one and making the new one. and decrease the mTOR pathway. mTOR pathway is the process that we know that is the important for the aging process also. So decrease the mTOR is can be increase your longevity also. And when you come back to eat, it will. When you come back to eat, it will increase the glucose level and increase the insulin level. Insulin is the hormone that signals your body to build up the tissues and proteins, and also the storage of the fat back into your body also. So if you keep eating often, your body keep building up, and storage of the fat, and do not use the storage fat. But when you do the fasting, your body will change from the keeping the fat to be using the fat at some times. Okay, so this is all of the treatment for longevity that I want to present to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Surat, for that wonderful presentation. So to give us our final talk, I know that you have a lot of questions already prepared, but let's have this one talk now. Miss Nikki will be presenting to you about how your diet can influence your longevity and how to eat your way to a longer life. So please help me welcome again Miss Nikki Stewart.
Okay, great. So I think you guys are getting the hang of it, right? There's things that we really can control, right, when it comes to aging. And if you go back to those hallmarks of aging, I asked you before, what did you find that was really the common thread in all those? What really influences a lot of those key factors for aging? Anybody have any idea? Exactly. Lifestyle, thank you. Yeah, if you noticed, everything on those slides was really all about everything that Dr. Surat said. You know, we're going to move the mark in terms of your ability to prevent aging, decrease your biological age, and ultimately look and feel younger. You know, I think most people, you know, not only want to feel better, but, you know, all my experience of working here in Thanyapura, I would, you know, meet people when they would come in for their health programs, and they want to not only, you know, lose 10 kilos in 10 days, but look 10 years younger before they leave too. You know, this is really important. So I think one of the most important things that we can really talk about today is nutrition, because it's one of the things that, let's face it, we're doing it how many times a day? You know, we are eating. and of course, hopefully we're exercising and going to bed early, as, you know, and avoiding some of those risky behaviors. Of course, we know that those are really important for health, but I think there's a lot of confusion around nutrition as well. You know, if you go on social media or, you know, things, you get all kinds of advice, you know, when it comes to nutrition. But there's a few things that are really gonna be really the same for all humans. Right? I mean, we really are, you know, we have some variances, of course, in terms of how we grew up, where we grew up. A lot of people say, oh, it's my genetics. Everyone, you know, in my family is obese. But now we know that you may have the certain gene for something, you know, for breast cancer or some of these things. But obviously, our lifestyle, now we know our lifestyle can change whether or not that gene is activated. Right? And so nutrition plays a huge part in this. So we want to understand really what is, you know, aging from a nutrition standpoint. Can you eat something to help you age slower? And can you adjust your diet for eating for longevity? And I will share with you also from Alex, who is our registered dietitian here in Thanyapura. He couldn't be with us today, as I mentioned earlier, but he gives a sample plan or sample of ideas for meals. For example, everyone kind of wants some guidance, right, when it comes to eating. And even some supplementation ideas, like which Dr. Surat has shared already. So, next slide. By the way, this is a little bit about Alexei Sokolovsky. He's a Russian dietitian, as I mentioned, who has experience and certification in areas like athletic performance, in sleep coaching, and even in longevity. So Alex has quite a vast experience and is really available to guide you, when you need a little bit more help. And the other thing that he does that we have access to is regularly checking up on your body composition. Now, this is another way, we talked about ways that on a cellular level that we can check aging, right? Some of the labs that are available from our partner NHealth. But if we go to the next slide. Okay, we can agree that all of the, we can really change our lifestyle. And like I was saying, one of the things that Alex can do is measure the metabolic age. Now this is maybe different than what you hear about your biological age, right? But with the BMI calculator or the scale that he uses, it comes up with a number called your metabolic age. Now it's not as sophisticated for sure as doing something like your genetic test, but it's a way that you can regularly measure about your results. It's just taking into consideration your age and your basal metabolic rate, your BMR. And so that's how that number comes up as your metabolic age. When you see Alex for a consultation, he's going to tell you, oh, look, you're 44, but your metabolic age is 18. Now, that is, again, just an indicator of this calculation that the scale gives, but it's one of the ways that you can actually measure based on your body composition. It measures your tissue, your fat tissue, using impedance, your fat tissue, your muscle mass, your bone mass, of course your age, your hydration, and a lot of those, and this calculator comes up with a estimate on your metabolic age. So sometimes it looks really good. I think there's someone here in the crowd who is in her mid-30s who had a metabolic age of, I think, 14. So you can really, look at these numbers and get some, great feeling on that day if you have these good results. So keeping track of this metabolic age is just one of the ways that you can measure more frequently. I would suggest from looking at your metabolic age or doing a BMI calculation, even monthly, depending on your goals, because again, it's a quick and affordable analysis of kind of where you're at. And especially if you are trying to reach some goals as it relates to muscle increasing or decreasing your body fat. Because this is probably the things that people come to us the most for is, I want to decrease fat and I want to increase my muscle. Great strategy, because as Dr. Surat shared, our muscle is our key longevity organ. It is the most important thing that we can do to ensure that we age well, that we prevent this age-related sarcopenia, the loss of muscle, that we prevent frailty and the risk for falls as we age. But also muscle helps us to improve our insulin sensitivity, which is something that's really important because most of the people that we see that are coming in are dealing with some level of insulin resistance. And we look at certain labs when we see you, and we look at your fasting insulin or your hemoglobin A1C, or even just your fasting glucose. When you see a diabetic prick their finger and it gives them that fasting glucose level. That gives us a good indication of what's happening with you on a metabolic side, okay? And how we can make adjustments in your exercise and your diet, but also in your sleep. Poor sleep also can impact the way that your body utilizes insulin. You have more inflammation, you have higher fasting insulin, right? And so this can be some of these early indicators for metabolic issues like diabetes, for example. Okay, so I think it's pretty easy to say, what is the most important thing that we can do in our diet? Now, if you ask a child, what is healthy to eat? What do you think that a kid is going to say? Fruits and vegetables. Everyone knows this, right? And it is one of the things that I think it's hard for us to incorporate into our diet. A lot of people kind of have their preferences when it comes to vegetables. I don't like Brussels sprouts. I don't like kale. I don't like cabbage. I don't like this and that, And we're kind of resistant to it, even probably starting from an early age, I have a toddler. I have a 15-month-old. And already, after introducing solids, you get the or you get the yum. And of course, you hope for the yums when it comes to fruits and vegetables, right? We want to start trying to give those. And we have the most influence, by the way, over our kids by the time they're 3 years old. So if you can have them used to these flavors, even we know it goes before that. It goes when mothers are pregnant and breastfeeding, that we can influence children, right? To have a better desire for these tastes. And that's because these fruits and vegetables, of course, contain things like all of our antioxidants, flavonoids, vitamins, minerals. And as we already discussed, we know that these compounds in our food have a major influence on these hallmarks of aging and how our cells communicate and whether or not our cells, are going, the difference between a healthy cell and a cell that is missing an electron. We call a free radical, right? And guess what? Fruits and vegetables, what we find from these foods, they donate an electron to that free radical to make it healthy again. So we can, in essence, make our cells healthy and thriving again, even in the presence of damage. So we have the ability to repair. Omega-3 fatty acids. This one is really important because omega-3 fatty acids are really great at controlling inflammation. And you can find these in a lot of plant-based sources like flax seeds, right, walnuts, all the nuts and seeds particularly, and avocados and things like this, these kind of good fats, we would say. Obviously, when people say like, oh, avoid fat, this kind of fat argument, there's good fats and there's bad fats. And we can make an example. Good fats, nuts, seeds, avocados, bad fats, McDonald's. Things that are processed and, full of chemicals and deep fried. If you can give up one food after this, one food, don't eat fried food. Because fried foods create inflammation in your body that lasts a long time. Normally, our body will neutralize a free radical. It'll donate an electron to that cell that's missing an electron within a nanosecond. But when we eat fried foods, this type of imbalance and this type of inflammation lasts minutes in your body. So there's a huge difference, right, in terms of the fats that you can consume. So omega-3s will be really important. Healthy proteins. Now, of course, this one is also, an area of contention. Should we have plant-based proteins, animal-based proteins? You get this huge argument, from different camps. But the important thing is consume protein. Why? Because protein is important for the repair of your muscle, right? And repair of all the tissues in your body, right? So if you have a patient, I used to work in ICU, and if we did not start to replace nutrition on that patient, including a balance of carbohydrates and proteins, right, but particularly the protein content in that patient, they would not heal. Their wounds would not heal. They would not heal from surgery, right? So it was really important to introduce nutrition, proper nutrition, in the right balance in order for our body to heal. And obviously, we need to repair all the time. If you're an athlete, you're particularly important. You're particularly interested in making sure that you repair, right? But if you're any person, or if you're trying to deal with the effects of aging, because again, as we age, we lose our muscle, and the key is to keep our muscle. So protein will become incredibly important. So whatever source you're getting it from, if you're choosing an animal protein, that's okay. That's a great source. It's usually widely bioavailable. And even plant-based sources, by the way, has all the amino acids. There's always this argument that plant-based sources don't have all the amino acids. They do. You don't have to combine them. Sometimes you just need to consume more of them to get the same amount of protein per, ounce, let's say, of animal protein. But just make sure that you're choosing good sources. That would be the key thing. Unfortunately, some, as we talked about toxins, for example, Dr. Surratt highlighted that we can have heavy metals in our food. Now, this is hard to avoid with a whole talk on toxins, but also remember that the animal consumes the same foods that oftentimes have pesticides and heavy metals and antibiotics and hormones given to the animal. So the more that you can choose better cuts of meat, the healthier that's going to be for you over time, so that you're going to avoid accumulating those in your body as well. Now, of course, plants also have pesticides and things like that they're sprayed with. But it turns out that the more fibers that you have in your diet, the easier it is for you to get rid of those types of toxins. And the last part would be keeping yourself hydrated. Of course, aim for 2.5 to 3.5 liters a day, especially more if you're living in Thailand and outside, or you're outdoors, or you're sweating a lot, right? And sometimes you may even need to supplement with some electrolytes alongside of that, because we're also, when we're sweating, if you lick your skin, you taste like salt, right? So we're losing salt. So it's important to replace our electrolytes if you are sweating a lot. Potential partnerships. And I had 15 million stem cells applied to my face and 15 million in my hair at that same time, because I wanted to see what was the result going to be like, because I thought it might be hard to evaluate doing them intravenously. So I chose to do my face. Of course, I was concerned about aging. I think I was 37 or 38 at that time. And I have to tell you that one of the best things that happened during that treatment was that I had a lot of melasma after I had children, and so the darker pigment that comes with that, and probably sun exposure as well. And that really evened out. I would say my tone and texture really changed, but the area that I noticed the biggest change was underneath the eye, which is a very difficult area to treat. Most people choose to use filler injection underneath here to treat dark circles or to treat the fine lines that come in the middle corner of the eye. And that improved drastically. I think even still to this day, I feel like it's delayed the aging process. But one of the things that I noticed was around the 2-year mark, I felt like I wanted to do it again. I felt like, I could probably do that again. So if you're thinking about doing stem cells for an aesthetic purpose, you could think that you might want to do that regularly, maybe every 2 years or 3 years, depending on your age and some of your goals.
Sorry. Hi, it's John here. Just a follow-up question to my wife, Angelica. You mentioned some boosters. Like, what are some examples of that? And I guess there's another part to the question is, how do you know if you're a good candidate for stem cells on your face? Like, at what point, are there other treatments you should try before you get to that point, or you just go straight into it?
It depends on the clients, because most of the clients on aesthetic is they want to improve your skin condition, reduce the wrinkles, reduce the aging. So mostly depends on the clients. If some clients is doing the injections since they are 30 or less than that to maintain their condition and slow the aging. Because if you are beginning to do the injection in your face, like in the late, let's say late 40 or late 50, you don't have anything to preserve, let's say. So if you want to preserve your condition, you should do it like in the early.
Thank you for your question. Any other question to?
Hi, my name's Raymond Fouquet. I have a nutritional question, which is sort of a basic theme, and I think maybe I've only lived in Thailand for about 2.5 years, so maybe someone who's lived here much longer than me would know the answer to this question, but it always concerns me when I go shopping and I go to say what's it called, Magok? Mako, thank you. When I see the amount of chicken that they process and they sell there, and the amount of pork that they process and sell, it concerns me that is that product coming from a large factory type farming situation, or would I be better off going to one of the smaller markets where you see fresh chicken and pork being sold there? Would that necessarily be coming from a small farmer as compared to the initial? Does anybody know the answer to that?
So in my opinion, I'm not knowing all of them, but in my opinion, lately the construction or the production of the livestock, you say that only the fresh one, like not the sausage or something, right? just the like chicken meat or pork
Yeah,
meat.
yeah, the chicken meat and the
Yeah.
pork meat, that it seems to be such massive
Mm-hmm.
amounts
Mm-hmm.
that they're producing and selling in the market, which
Yeah.
is great.
Mm-hmm.
The price is great, but I wonder, would I be better off buying those products at, like, say, the street markets, where you see them, processed?
Yeah, understand. So I think in the large company in Thailand now, there are competition to do the quality production of the meat. So the hormone use or the antibiotic use, they try to reduce it, and they will use it as the advertorial for them. Like our meat is not hormone, our meat is not used of antibiotics, our pork is raised in the very clean area or something like that. So it's quite reliable to buy from the large supermarket also. But in the street market, I think some of them are buying from the large one to
That's
sell.
what I was kind of thinking myself, that it was probably secondhand going. Yeah, so to clarify that, does the government of Thailand put certain regulations on the amount of hormones and antibiotics that are put in food? Do they actually regulate that by the government?
I'm not sure about that but I think they focus on the contamination and the cleanliness of the product, like of the meat.
This is just my personal experience. I have a friend that her parents run a pig farm. It's not big like one of those big conglomerates in Thailand, which doctors said that most of the pigs and chickens are from those big companies. So I don't think it matters a lot if you buy from in the supermarket, in the big supermarket like Macro, or in the fresh market. But the cleanliness, yes, because we as the human walking around, we're dirtier than the pigs in the farm. If you walk into the farm without PPE, those pigs will get sick. So those are very, very clean pigs, but I believe, I'm not 100% sure, that the government have limits on the antibiotics and hormones that they can use. So I think the main thing that you have to consider is just the amounts of antibiotics and hormones. The cleanliness, I don't think there's a problem.
Raymond, Chachai here. Just a free advertisement for a friend farm. It's called Beta Grow, and they have I think they call SPO. Okay, and it's pricier, but they say it's free of antibiotic, free of hormones, and other stuff that they put in the livestock. And they're selling very well in the upper market in Bangkok. So I trust them because I know them.
But not here.
I think here they have plenty. You look for S, the big S.
It's pure.
Pure,
It's pure.
and I think you get good.
There is a Beta Grow shop on heading to the Phuket City area on the left hand side. Beta Grow. B-E Beta Grow shop.
They have S-Pure at
SPO.
P-U-R-E, S-Pure.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Hello, everyone. My name's Todd. I have a couple questions here for you. It's cold. But anyway, so, one of my questions is on the clock or the biological age. When you do the biological age testing, do you have a specific clock you use? For example, the Hovarthian clock or the Grimm clock. Is it registered with the Clock Foundation? What clock are you using for testing?
For NHealth right now, we have one testing, and we about to bring more epigenetics testings into our company. So I believe different companies, different countries have their own clocks that they're using. So we're trying to find products that have a little bit different, so to cater to all of the needs from customers. But I believe that the ones that we're using right now, that we have service in NHealth, is use a Hobart clock.
Another question I have, I'm not sure who this goes out to in your team, but it sounds like you have multiple therapies, multiple agents, so to speak, that push back the aging process. And that said, do you have a specific agent, or do you have a combination of agents, so to speak, that have a proven track record or a human study, not animal, not cell, that actually has pushed back multiple clocks, reversed aging? For example, 1 year of treatment pushed back aging 2.5 years.
There was a study called the TRIM trial, and that's where they combined therapies like DHEA, growth hormone, and metformin. And they found that that would reverse biological age by 2.5 years in that TRIM trial. You can, TRIIM. You can look up it stands for thymus restoration, immune restoration, and so yeah, that one's well studied.
Yes, right. So I'd like to agree on that. So I'm familiar with that study, and the TRIM-X trial just sort of finished up a few months ago. In that regard, do you guys provide a therapy, for example, I think the three agents, DHE, metformin, and human growth hormone, do you replicate that study, or are you working in conjunction with Dr. Greg Fahey?
We can provide those treatments if someone has low levels. Normally, it's something that would be prescribed if a person is in need. Obviously, there's some of these treatments that are out there that of course people can approach us to say like, oh, should I take metformin? Well, not necessarily. We see there are also some downfalls to metformin as well, and so it's not something that's just prescribed to everyone just because it has some anti-aging benefits. It would be based on need.
And are you guys familiar that Greg is actually reaching out and looking for doctors currently who might want to provide this in countries in around the world? For example, I think there is a group of doctors in the UK who Greg is going to start collaborating with, so that basically you send the blood draws to Greg, he does the data, and then adjusts the dosage, so to speak.
So in our practice, we didn't use you say the metformin, right? Metformin.
Yes, that's correct.
DHA, metformin, yeah. We, as my practice, I didn't prescribe the metformin as the first things to do with the anti-aging, but the human growth hormone is maybe used if we measure it and the level is low or not in the optimal level, because I believe that the effect of the metformin on the anti-aging can be created by the other procedures. Like if you do like some intermittent fasting in the right way, you can stimulate the process like the metformin do.
Sure. Okay, in that regards, I did see that you guys at least put up there that you provide, for example, human HGH therapy as an anti-aging agent. What do you use to mitigate the diabetic effect?
The diabetic? Yeah, that's why we have to make a consultation first, and we not measure just only the human growth hormone level, but we also test for the other condition too, like the kidney condition, the diabetes risk, or the other things like the liver function before we prescribe the human growth hormone. And we will give the advice to the clients that which way that is good for them, or we can provide the other measures to manage that.
Okay, great. Last question here for you. I very interested in the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It's very interesting to me. And in regards to that, do you have this chamber on campus? And for example, there was another study done in Israel about 2 years ago. Again, this is a human study that pushed back the clocks of biological age. I think it's the only other human study that has done this besides the TRIM trial. Can you replicate this therapy as well?
About the hyperbaric oxygen, I'm not an expert in this field, and we don't have the tank in our campus. So, but as my knowledge, the hyperbaric oxygen is promote the tissue healing because it's put the high concentration of oxygen to promote healing, to promote the vascular growth. So it's I am sure that there is the study about the hyperbaric oxygen and this anti-aging, but I'm not have the information about that now.
Okay.
I think maybe some expert in the hyperbaric or anti-aging can answer these questions.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for everything today. I appreciate it.
Okay, yes, good morning. I have a less technical question. This is about the fried food. I think, Nikki, you said something about the fried food, and if there's one thing that you have to give up now, it's the fried foods. That's quite hard, I think. But what if you fry your food in olive oil? Will that count? Is that healthy?
It's maybe better than some vegetable oils, that exist. However, anytime that you heat the oils is where it creates more inflammation in the body. So you can add olive oil to your food. I suggest steaming your food or even water frying your food. This is always funny because when I would get fried rice at the food stall, the vendors would look so mad at me when I say, don't put oil, mai sai naman, right? Because they say, like, you clean my pan, because it sticks. But you can add water, as you're heating your food, and that can help with some of the stickiness. But yeah, you might have a little more cleanup afterwards. But by all means, adding olive oil to your food after it's cooked will bring a lot of great benefits. We know olive oil, if you see what Brian Johnson is doing, he even has his own olive oil. Maybe it's just promotion, but we see that it is really a healthy oil to use. So yeah, just try not to, the faster and the higher the heat is where the more damage occurs with fried foods. So the lower the heat, the better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Kunchach.
Question for the speakers as well as the audience. How can we prophesize, the knowledge that you guys are sharing today, to the greater public? A week ago, I have a session with Muniti Mo Chao Ban, Folk Doctors Foundation. They've been around for about 50 years, mostly in magazine, and now they go online. And the foundation which I'm a trustee of is called Education for Development Fund. We basically giving scholarship to poor kids across the country, 10,000 to 15,000 scholarships a year from the money we raise from corporations and individual donors. The question is, how can I give them the riddle. I said, if you ever come up with a solution to make this, health for all, instead, we're trying to do education for all, but now health for all. How can we go to the larger public with all this knowledge in easy to consume, format in Thailand, as well as where I'm operating in is in Yangon in Myanmar, where I'm seeing a lot of poor health from their living conditions, from their hygiene, or lack of proper education. I think the last one is probably the biggest factor. I want to hear from Honey.
So for me, I think these kind of, I'm talking in terms of I'm from the lab company. This kind of testing can be expensive to general public, but if the ones that are very benefit to the public, the government, as Thailand's government right now has a few DNA testings. The first one is the BRCA testing that they fund, so you can test it for free. And a few drugs, HLB star, the few genes that you have to the few genes that you have to test before using some drugs, like carbamazepine, which is the anti-convulsing drugs, and allopurinol, which is the anti-gout drugs. Yes. So, and this is still not official, but just in this room, by the end of the year, I think the government will promote one more testing, which is the NIPT testings, non-invasive neonatal. Yeah. So this one is so you take the test before you give birth to see that the baby is healthy. So the government will provide that to Thai people for free as well. So I think we have to promote the knowledge of these testings and to try to make it a little bit cheaper to go to the general public.
Yes, I'm agree because some tests or some procedure is still in the high cost, and the government has to consider the price between the benefit of the procedure that they will add up in the routine treatment for the people. So some treatment is still like under the study, or some is still don't have enough benefit to put it on the large scale in the population. But I think in the aspect of the knowledge for the people to taking care of themselves, it's quite challenge to spread the knowledge about the anti-aging things to the community. But I have seen many pages on the social media try to make the content and give the knowledge to the people already. The point is we have to create the local influencers in each countries or each communication is community to make the contents and spread out for the population.
Yeah. I think that some of the most amazing doctors that I've ever met have had health issues themselves. And, and it's unfortunate, that we have to say that. I think, the pandemic taught us a lot, that people that had comorbidities like already existing diabetes or heart disease, or even things like just high blood pressure, things that they had, more serious illness or even death, from COVID. And so I think it's natural that, people are taking more interest in their own health and becoming advocates for their own health, because I think also people feel a bit misguided, from things that kind of, resulted as, from the pandemic. And so I think this naturally happens, but one other area that I think is really good, as you mentioned, Kun Chai Chai, is about education, and education possibly even starting, with schools, with our children, and educating them, because sometimes it's hard for us as we age, we're stubborn, to make change unless we are faced with something serious. And the doctor that I worked with when I worked in an integrative oncology would always say, cancer is like a tap on the shoulder. It doesn't mean, cancer with a period, that's the end. It's a tap on the shoulder, a way to tell you to change your direction. And I think that it's unfortunate, but sometimes most of us are only willing to make changes as we get older because either we're in pain moves the needle really quickly. You'll do anything to get out of pain. Or we're suffering, right? And we're faced with something. And so, as we see statistics from my country that over 18, 45% of people already have a chronic disease, I think that we are seeing the same thing. And especially here in Thailand where, I think the US, it's a few more years away from the silver tsunami, meaning more people over the age of 65, right? But I think that's already happened here in Thailand. So aging, and dealing with these age-related diseases and preventing aging is, I think, even more important, already here in Thailand.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question here.
I am Grisada. First of all, thank you for such a great talk today, provided by Thanyapura, Kun Chachai, Kun Nicole, Kun Surat, and from NHealth. So, actually, the blood ozone is catching my attention, so I would like to have more idea about the blood ozone as an alternative medicine, like the autohemotherapy, chronic infection, autoimmune disorder, or adjuvant for the cancer treatment. The question for Dr. Surat.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So the using of the blood ozone has the various type, mostly in the inflammation diseases like the infections. They stage that the blood ozone can reduce the inflammation and reduce some of the infection, but it's not cure the infection. It will decrease the oxidative stress from the infection in your body. So the treatment for the infection should be done also. And they also used for the cancer therapy together with the other measures like the high dose vitamin C and hyperbaric oxygen. They will have the protocols to use the hyperbaric oxygen, blood ozone, and the high dose vitamin C in the different separated days, something like that. But maybe it's not widely used. It's just in the small practice in some measures.
Okay, thank you. We have one question here from Kun Marisa.
Hi, thank you very much to the panel for the presentation today. I have a quick question about fertility, because I think it's quite an important aspect of health, especially now that people are having children later and later. So I was just wondering what other things that we can do to optimize our fertility from the testing point of view, the treatments that we might be able to do that are maybe less invasive, and also from the nutrition side of things as well. Thank you.
From testing side, there are a lot of testings that you can done before you trying to get conceived. Like obviously you have to get everything on point, like your nutrition, your general health before. But I just want to give one example. It's quite new concept. Is you test the microbiome on your vaginal canal and that can affect your fertility as well. So that's just a new concept that's been just started to commercialize right now. Yeah, apart from a bunch of testings that test the fertility from the men or the woman. This is just the new concept that I just want to give an example today.
Okay, in the treatment part, I think we have to searching for the cost first. What is the cost for the infertility both in men and women? In women, we find out that recently the cause of the infertility is the polycystic ovarian disease, which can cause from the insulin resistance because the people is taking more of the sugar now. And most of the people, they're not getting fat, but they have the insulin resistance, and it affects the hormone. So most of the people that has the problem about infertility, they have the problem of the PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. And in the male part, I think it's about the toxin like the heavy metal, the lifestyle, the stress that affect the sperm production also. So about the treatment for the infertility, so you have to consult with the doctors and find out the cause first. And I think the insulin resistance is one of the missing cause that we should consider now. So the treatment is improve the insulin resistance, like the less ingesting of the sugar and adjusting your lifestyle, like the pillars of the aging, pillar of the lifestyle that I presented.
I can comment a little bit because I was a late maternal age mother recently. I'm 44 and I have a 1 year, 3-month-old. And one of the things that was very helpful for me, I believe, was understanding my nutrient status in much more depth. And what I mean by that is, as I was aging, and many women as we approach into 40, we already start to see perimenopause, even that early. I've seen women in their 20s with hormones that have a hormone panel like menopause, and that's related to our lifestyle. It can be from things like stress, for example, or undersleeping, or overeating, or under-exercising, right? All lifestyle. But in my case, I think probably I was a bit deficient in some nutrients. And as I mentioned to you when we talked about doing the oligo scan or looking at your vitamins and mineral levels, right? We said a man needs a certain amount of zinc to produce testosterone. Of course, we need enough testosterone to, right, also be concerned with fertility. For women, we need enough nutrients to produce our hormones, such as estrogen and progesterone, for example, and even testosterone. Many people don't think about women with testosterone, but it's actually a very important hormone for women. And in my case, I was always very low in hormone production, just enough to have a menstrual cycle every month. And there was months that I would skip it because I probably wasn't producing enough of the hormones. And so I always looked at my vitamins and mineral levels, and they were pretty decent. They were okay. But going back a step further, one of the things that I was really deficient in was amino acids. And maybe that's one drawback of being plant-based for so long. I had plant-based diet for 16 years, maybe not, or maybe just not eating enough at certain times. And so I did a test here called an urine organic acid profile, and I absolutely love this test because it goes so much deeper into your utilization of your nutrients. And I found out that I was very deficient in certain amino acids. And I found out after that amino acids are really the precursors for the production of our neurotransmitters in our gut, like serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline. These neurotransmitters give the signal to the pituitary and the hypothalamus to give the signal to our sex hormones, or to our sex organs, like our testes and ovaries, to produce hormones. So I was missing the mark just checking my hormones and seeing, oh, okay, they're a little bit low, and just checking my nutrients to say, oh, okay, they're pretty decent. Why am I not producing hormones? Because I didn't have those precursors. So this is why, I think, from the fertility standpoint, I always suggest to men and women that are interested is really pay attention to your nutrition. Because not only can you prevent DNA damage that can result in chromosome abnormalities that could impact your ability to get a healthy chromosome, a healthy embryo, but also your ability to just have the hormones that are there enough to help you get pregnant in the first place.
Just a quick follow-up. And the biological age, is that a good indication of your fertility age as well, or it's unrelated?
I think it's some part is correlated because if you have the younger, like or the better biological function, it should be reflects your fertility. But in in some point, the fertility is just it's like the separated system from your metabolic system. So the hormone will play a role like quite much in the fertility part, and that's why you should check for the hormone, like Kuniki said. And in the part of sex hormone production, I want you to focus a little bit on the cholesterol. So the cholesterol is the ingredient to make lots of the things in your body, including the sex hormone. So cholesterol is not the bad guy. They may say that cholesterol makes you increase the risk of the coronary heart disease, but in the fact, cholesterol is used to make the hormones, used to make the bile acid in your body, used to make vitamin D. So, and also the cholesterol is used to produce the cell membrane and also healing process into the wound. So that's why we see the cholesterol lots in the plaque that they have the injuries in the blood vessel. So let's say you have to balance your hormone, the sex hormone first, and in my opinion, you don't have to scare of the cholesterol that much.
Okay, thank you. Let's have one last person to ask a question. None. So if that's the case, then thank you so much, Kuniki, Dr. Surat, and Kunali. Let's give them a round of applause. It was an insightful presentation. Thank you so much. So before we're going to wrap up this health talk, we will going to have a short lucky draw. May I request Kun Chachai to pick up the winner? So the winner for the lucky draw will receive an advanced performance checkup that is worth 16,000 baht. Let's here in front, come. Can we ask them to stay to take picture for the winner? So the winner for our lucky draw.
I need to announce this because he's not in the room. Yeah. Todd, Todd, you're there. Todd Forney, yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Todd. Let's have a take picture. Picture. Thank you. Thank you so much. So that ends up our health talk today. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great and a rainy day to everyone. This is Kim signing off. Thank you.